Well, hello and welcome back to my fourth grade artist and every other artist that's joining me today. It's me, Mrs. P, Mrs. Pendleton, your art teacher, coming back to say hello and to remind you that I love you and I miss you. And I hope that you all are doing well and doing everything you can to help keep each other safe and keep each other healthy. Guys, we're going to continue with the project that we started a couple of weeks ago because for many of us, including myself, last week was spring break. So hopefully you guys had a decent time just staying safe and staying healthy and enjoying the people around you. I know I did. So we're going to get back to what we started the last time we were together. And we were working on our self-portraits with an emphasis on realism. Do I mean realism like it should look like a photograph? Absolutely not. Mine doesn't look like a photograph either. However, we're talking about realism and not trying to draw things or parts of our faces with simplified shapes. A lot of times we try to represent parts of our face kind of cartoony, like using simple circles or triangle noses and things like that. But we really wanted to explore the actual organic shapes on our faces, the realistic shape of our eyes, our nostrils, our mouths, and try to draw that or sketch those things out in our self-portrait, okay? So last week we started sketching. We just started a light drawing. We talked about proportion, how large things are compared to the other parts of your face. So if you drew yourself a larger head, you wouldn't want to make teeny tiny features. They'd be out of proportion. Or if you drew a smaller head, you wouldn't want to fill your face with your features because it'd be out of proportion. You have to think about size. And so those are the vocabulary words that we're also going to go over really quickly before we get started and before we continue. Are you guys ready? Let's do it. Okay, fourth grade artists, here we go. Let's go over our vocabulary first. Yep, we already talked about our self-portrait, a picture of yourself. And we talked about how we're expected to use realism with this project. Photorealism, no. Should it look exactly like a photograph? Absolutely not. We're just trying to avoid using simple geometric shapes like regular circles, ovals, triangles, and those types of shapes to represent our facial features. We want to look at the organic or natural shapes of our eyes, noses, mouths, and other features that we're including in our self-portrait. Like we already talked about facial features, those parts of our faces, eyes, nose, brows, lips, even including ears and eyelashes, things like that. The bridge of your nose, your chin. Those are all part of the facial features that we want to focus on for this self-portrait. We already talked about size and how it relates to proportion. Proportion is how big things are compared to other things. And so you want to think about size or how you're using your knowledge of sizes or how sometimes you have to adjust the size of something in your portrait as you're working to make sure it's in proportion, okay? And you also want to think about your background. If you want to leave your background empty for this, feel free. If you want to include a pattern or even if you want to include some words that maybe are descriptive of yourself, you are welcome to do that for this project. Again, our standard is VA4 CR1. Engage in the creative process to generate and visualize ideas by using subject matter and symbols to communicate meaning. And part of that communication of meaning is definitely working with self-portraits. Okay, so here is the sketch that I started the last time we were together. I started working on my self-portrait with just light, quick sketch lines. And as I went, I darkened my lines a little bit. So if you're still working, I want you to continue adding some more details. Make sure your pencil lines or your sketch lines are still light and quick so that you can draw over them. You don't have to spend a lot of time erasing. If there's things that you're going to change, which you're going to want to do and probably have to do as you're definitely trying to practice realistic drawing, especially when we're thinking about size and proportion. As you're drawing, you're going to realize you might need to make things smaller or a little larger. I could probably even make my eyes a little smaller here. And so I'm going to do that. I also encourage you, if you had one, consider using a mirror. Keeping a mirror in front of you so you can make sure that your proportions and the shapes of your features are as realistic as you can possibly get. Also included some of my facial lines. I was kind of grinning, and so when I do, I have these little creases right here. I have some creases under my cheekbones as well. Again, thinking about features, okay? And also thinking about emphasizing something about your face that you really like, or a facial feature or your hair or something about yourself that you really like. Feel free to do that as well. I really love my hair, and so to emphasize that, I spent a little more time on my locks, which I'm going to do now. I really love it. It's not part of my facial features, but I love the jewelry that I wear. And so I wore some earrings last time that said self-love, which I think is very appropriate for this project. And I'm going to go back. If you have an eraser, go back and erase lines of parts that you have drawn that are being overlapped by something else. Right here, I drew my hoodie first and my shoulders, but now my locks are overlapping them. So these lines, these little faint guidelines or sketch lines that were left over from my hoodie and from my shoulder, I'm going to go back and erase those. Also have some overlapping lines up here just from sketching. The cool thing about sketching is you're just kind of going along with what you need to do. Nothing has to be decided yet. The lines are quick, they're easy. They're really easy to draw over, which is great. They're very fluid, meaning they just keep moving. So as you are finishing your sketch, once you've decided what you want it to look like, feel free to darken your lines a little bit. This is where the sketch turns into a finished drawing. You decide what your self-portrait you want it to look like. You can darken up the lines to make things a little more clear. You can darken up the lines around your face if you want to. I'm going to darken up some lines to emphasize my locks again. Maybe darken up these glasses that I had on last week. And do some more erasing here. You're going to just find some things as you go, which is great. Part of training your eyes, discovering things that you want to change or need to change. Okay. I think I'm going to write the words because they're on my earring. So like I said, if you want to add something to the background, you can. Fancy font. You guys that are my students know I love some curvy lines. But you don't have to. I'm going to. Some action or motion lines right here. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes starting to add some value. You do not have to do this. This is not part of your grade. Your grade is based on your finished drawing of yourself, especially with an emphasis on realistic features. I'm looking for realistic shapes or organic shapes that you use for your eyes, your nose, your mouth. What shapes you use to put together to represent your hair and your upper body, okay? That's what I'm looking for. But because I want to, and you can do this too, I'm going to shade in. That means I'm taking my pencil and adding this darker tone, this darker value. And remember, value is how light or how dark a color is. And so I'm going to change up the value of this pencil, which is gray. The locks that are farther away, I'm going to make those a little darker, and the ones that are closer to my face, assuming that the light is shining on my face, I'm going to make them a little lighter because they would appear lighter because the light is shining on them. So again, the ones closer to me are lighter. The ones farther away are the ones closer to the back of my head. A little darker. See how I made this part a little darker? I'm coming up, I'm making it a little lighter too. I think I can even add a little value to my skin as well. Just lightly, because my skin tone is not darker than my hair. So I think I'm just going to lightly shade that in. Using the flat part of my pencil. My pencil's on an angle, not too hard. Gently add some value to represent my skin tone as well. What do you think? Here is my finished, realistic self-portrait. Does it look exactly like me? No. Does it look like a photograph? Absolutely not. Remember, that is not the intention. What I want us to do, artists, is try to use organic, natural shapes, freeform shapes that really represent the shapes of our facial features. Our eyes, our noses, nostrils, lips, mouths, ears, chins, all those things. Trying not to use circles for eyes or triangle noses or things like that, just lines for smiles. I really want you guys to try exploring realistic shapes for our facial features, okay? Now, like I said, if you want to, you are welcome to add some value, taking your pencil and shading in areas of your self-portrait. Because my hair is darker than my skin tone, I press a little harder with my hair and a little lighter with my skin. But that's up to you. That is not part of the grade. But I encourage you to explore it and experiment with creating value. That's how light or how dark a color is, okay? And how you manipulate that by pressing harder for a darker value and pressing super light for a light value, okay? So I cannot wait to see your self-portraits, guys. Get to work on these. Don't forget to emphasize a part of you that you absolutely admire or enjoy, because we should admire and enjoy ourselves for a myriad of reasons, okay? Again, I hope you all are doing well, staying as healthy as possible. Same rules in the art room. Please be nice to everybody that you can and the people that are around you. Practice self-control, mind, mouth, and body, okay? And just try to keep each other as healthy and as safe as possible. Until next time, this is Mrs. P. Know that I love you, I miss you, I cannot wait to hear from you, and I hope to see you sooner than later. Until then, stay creative.